Sit back, relax, as Art the Clown is back. So today I am talking about the newly released Terrifier 2. If you're new on my channel, you're probably like, what the shit, where are we? This is my setup for more relaxed, more improvised, and less edited videos, which, thank God, because I hate editing. Holy shit. Anyways, I saw Terrifier 2 yesterday night, and I wanted to give my quick thoughts on the film. Now I'm gonna start with my, quick thoughts, a summary of my opinion on the first one. I thought Terrifier 1 was good, but it was also very much a 5 out of 10 film. Before, rating Terrifier 2, I looked at my rating for the first one and saw that I rated it a 4 out of 10. That was too harsh. Really, it's honestly a 5 out of 10. But for a quick hour-and-a-half film with lots of gore and an interesting killer, Terrifier 1 was perfect, and I've rewatched it many times. Way more many times than I'd like to admit, especially for a film that I honestly think is just middle of the road. However, the film had two things going for it. The gore, which is back in the sequel times like 10. Holy shit, this is a brutal film. And Art the Clown, which is honestly one of the most interesting new slasher villain. He follows traditions of being this silent killer, with, very physical mannerism, but he does such a good job, and the actor that plays him, I don't think the character would be the same without him. He's the total opposite of Michael Myers, whereas Michael Myers is honestly a boring-ass character that could be played by my grandmother. Art the Clown is an interesting character, and we get more of his backstory. And he's just this creepy-ass killer that you feel that if you met this guy in the street, you'd run away from him. Which makes sense, because he's a serial fucking killer. Anyway, the second one I thought was such an improvement on the first one. Holy shit, I think if you went into this film thinking this was going to be the same as the first one, you'll be not very disappointed, because it keeps the gore and it keeps the slasher aspect. However, this dwells into more of a story. There is more of a story which explains the long runtime. And when I sat in the theater yesterday, and I thought to myself, holy shit, my biggest gripe of the film is probably gonna be the runtime. And I was proven wrong, because it doesn't feel that long. Honestly, I don't think personally that there is a lot of dead air in this film. Yes, there are scenes that might go on for too long. However, those scenes are the more experimental ones, which probably a regular horror theater audience would find not good or boring or too long. But for me, who likes more, experimental, independent films, I thought it was brilliant. The scene with, if you've seen the movie, and this is not a spoiler, but the clown cafe scene. I thought that scene was a beautiful representation of nightmare logic, which if you're coming from an audience of The Conjuring, you might not like. I'm not bashing that, I'm just saying, this movie isn't for everyone, and we should just be thankful that an independent movie such as this one made such a blast in the box office. Going back to the film, yes, the length isn't a problem for me. I thought it went by very fast. Also, this has great characters. The characters, for once, are likable, interesting, they have time to marinate and build a personality, and that's not common for modern day slashers. A lot of films, modern day slashers or modern day films that pay homage to slashers, kind of forget that the characters that are gonna get killed, well, if you don't like him or they don't have a personality and they just get killed, why should the audience care? And this film does a great job about making the audience care. I was not in a packed theater, but most of the people in my theater were teenagers. This film's unrated, by the way, which is another ballsy ass move to release an independent film in theaters that's unrated, and it made so much fucking money. Thank you, we need more of those. However, like I was saying, so most of the audience were teenagers, and I thought this, film wouldn't really be for them because, in my head, and I'm assuming about people, but, teenagers who go see horror movies in the theater, well, Terrifier 2 might not be for them, and especially with the long runtime. But they really had a ball. They were laughing, they were enjoying, they were cringing during the gore scenes, which was... Man, going to a theater to see a gory movie and having the audience just be like, oh, what the fuck is going on, is such a great time, and that's why I still go to movie theaters. Horror movies are made to be interactive with the audience, and I think people, maybe not talking during the entire film, but like people reacting, laughing, just cringing. I think Terrifier 2 is perfect for a theater audience. The gore is... It's insane. It's beautiful. It's very brutal. It's so surprising to see that on a fucking theater screen. Now, another problem I had with the first one is it looked cheap. And I'm not talking about the effects, I'm talking about the production values. It looked like they filmed on like the camera I do my videos on. Not this one, but like my bigger cinema camera, which it's a good camera, but it does look like a Sony camera whenever you don't do a lot of color correction, color grading, grain. Terrifier 2 still has that issue where the production quality feels cheap. The set design is okay. The cinematography is mostly uninspired, like the first one. The costumes are great. It's a Halloween theme, so the costumes are great. Other than that, the acting is pretty solid. I have to say that the kid character can get annoying. But child actor, and it's not as bad as Bob in House by the Cemetery, but sometimes it can get pretty annoying. Yeah, the gore is great, the story, the characters are very interesting. It gave a sort of backstory to Art the Clown, which honestly a lot of people have a problem with. I don't fucking care. One of my favorite studio is Astron 6, where all of their movies, go very, very far, like this one does. But this one doesn't even go that far into that territory. I really liked it. I really thought it was an interesting perspective. It made the villain more than just like a Michael Myers type of character with, a backstory, a realistic one, but it still makes for what is, in my opinion, very uninteresting character. At least when you have that, aspect, and people who've seen the film know what I'm talking about, it makes the villain more interesting. Look at Freddy, look at Jason. Those are interesting slasher characters. Pinhead, for fuck's sakes. Chucky. The paranormal, I just say that aspect is pretty standard when it comes to slasher films. The only one that doesn't really have it is Michael Myers, and in my opinion, Michael Myers, I'm not saying the films are bad, I'm just saying the character as a character is uninteresting and not that great. So throwing in those, strange out of this world aspect make for good lore, because let's be honest, this is gonna be a franchise, so we need meat for the sequels. So those are my quick thoughts on Terrifier 2. When this film will be released on physical media, I might go more in depth, but for now, this is it. And honestly, I fucking loved the film, and if you liked the first one, you're gonna love this one. If you're like me and thought the first one was just okay, go with an open mind into the second one, because it does a great job at correcting what was wrong with the first one. And if you really hated the first Terrifier, because there's this like big movement on social media that really hated the first one, well, don't watch it, because you know you're not gonna like it. Anyways, thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.